Hello there boys and girls, it's Les here down at Featherstone Hydroponics, and this is video 4 of the setup for the 1.2 metre squared tent, 6 foot tall obviously. And this particular video we're going to be looking at the lighting setup. We've already set our tray system up where we're going to actually join the plants. We've set the tent up, we've got a tray in the bottom so if we have any spills we're not going to ruin the carpet. The next section is these lights. Now this is quite a complex area, especially when you come into the actual bulbs that you can get lots of different types of bulbs. But this is the setup that we're going to be using in that tent because it's a basic setup, isn't it? So what you're going to need is essentially you've got a reflector. Now this looks gold coloured at the minute, and that's purely and simply because it's got a sticker on it. If I can peel it off for you to protect the silvering. Can you see that? That just peels off. So we'll get rid of that when we're ready. This reflector is obviously where your light's going to go, your bulb, and this, once you've peeled all this off, will reflect all the light downwards and around it, scatter it around. Now you'll note this is actually the bulb holder, that's where you screw it in. You can get different versions of these, different shapes of these, different people swear by the triangular ones and all this kind of thing. So you get, there's lots of variation. This is a basic one and that's what we're going to be using. This, you'll notice, this has not got a normal plug on it, it's got like a kettle plug, and that's to prevent you from putting your bulb in and plugging this into the mains, because it's not going to work, it's going to blow, it could blow up, anything could happen. What this needs is it needs one of these, and this is called a ballast. This particular ballast is a dimming ballast, so you can turn it up and down. So let's say we put a 600 watt bulb in it, that's the maximum. But you can actually, on this, you can give it like a boost. So I think it's about 10% extra you get out of it. So that would make it a 660 watt bulb. But you can also turn it down from 600 watts to 400 watts to 250 watts and so on, so that you can adjust the lighting for what condition you've got in your tent and at what stage your plants are at. Because you don't want to be burning your plants. Equally, you don't want it to be wanting to reach for that light because it's going to be, you know, a bit long and stretchy. So that's your dimmable ballast. I'll show you what this looks like. So that's the other end of your kettle lead. That's the bit that plugs into this light fitting, and this is the bit that plugs into your hole in the wall. So here we are, look, yeah. That's your ballast, and I'll bring it around there for you. So as you can see what we've got here, you can turn it up and down. So you've got superboost, you've got, which I think is 10% extra, you've got 600 watts, 400 watts and 250 watts. So you can adjust it, like I said, for what you need. You'll also note that there's some like lugs here and at the bottom, and that's for mounting some feet onto, which will be in the box, little rubber feet, to stop any vibration. And also you'll notice that there's a slot there, 2 of them, for mounting this onto a board or onto the wall, whatever, which we're going to be doing. Because what we're going to do, we're going to try and mount all of this equipment, the hardware if you like, outside the tent. Do you know what I mean? So that it's not generating extra heat inside the tent, because heat's going to be a consideration, you see. Now these are the little rubber feet that just pop underneath. It's pretty straightforward stuff, is that. So what we do, we connect this to this, connect this in the other end to this, straightforward. Right. And that's the bit that goes in the wall. Now I'm going to show you this lamp. This is the lamp that we're going to be using. Right, now this is a high pressure sodium, HPS. Can you see what it says there? HPS. That means high pressure sodium. And that is the one, when you're looking on a street light and it's got a slightly yellow look to it, that's what this is, it's a sodium light. And this shows you the spectrum of light that's coming off it. So when we're looking at it, we are looking at it and seeing like a yellowy colour. But in actual fact, there's all this spectrum of light coming off it as well, which is for the plants. You know, the plants are absorbing it. We can't necessarily see it or detect it, but the plants can. So these are the kinds of bulbs that we're going to be using. You can get all sorts of types of bulbs of these. I used to use some in my greenhouse which were much fatter than these. They were probably about half as fat again, and they were like proper daylight bulbs. Now these particular bulbs are about 17-18 quid a piece, which is pretty good value, but you can pay up to 70 or 80 quid or more for a single bulb. You know, specialist bulbs that give off maximum this, maximum that and all that kind of thing. Oh, look at that for a bulb. It's like one out of an old radio, isn't it? And now the BBC radio. So that's the high pressure sodium. And you get a kind of a little explosion going on in here when the first kick in. And it'll go boom. Or you can almost feel it boom, and then it all kind of lights up. So that just screws in. These are always like a thread with a screw on it rather than a bayonet cap. So that literally just screws in there. Like so. Be careful with it, don't knock it, they are very, very delicate. Now that's obviously the way it's going to be hanging. Now at the back you'll see that there's two little lugs. You can bend them up. I ain't got very good fingernails, but you can bend them up and therefore suspending it, you know, on hooks. Speaking of which, the suspension. Now it's not particularly heavy, this one, but other ones can be, especially when you can get them with the ballast bit built into this bit. So you've got like a big box, so there's quite some weight to it. This thing is probably going to weigh, I don't know, about £6, something like that. So it's quite weighty. But on this bit, what we're going to be using is ratchets. I'll show you these. You get all sorts of different types. So, but you want a heavy duty one, even though it's not necessarily heavy duty. If at some point you come to put a heavier one on, the tendency is that you're going to use what you've got. And if it's not a heavy duty one that you started off with, you're running into risks or dangers, aren't you? So if you start off with a heavy duty one, the chances are you're going to be alright. You've probably seen these hanging up, and they might look very good value for money, which they are, but they're not suitable for doing this kind of thing. They're just far too delicate for hanging any electrical equipment and stuff like that. So don't use it. I'm only showing you to say, don't use these. These are good for plants, for branches and stuff like that. This is the kind that you want. So that's what we're going to be hanging on the back of that. Right then, now the thing with this little system here is when you first turn it on, it has like a surge, do you know what I mean? It has because it needs a lot of power to fire it up. So ideally what you're going to need to do is use something like this. This is a relay. And basically you plug one into the wall, you plug your device into this and that kind of thing. So when it switches on, it makes sure it doesn't overload. That's a basic one. But you're also going to need a timer to determine when your lights come on and off, because they're not running 24/7. Although they can do, under some circumstances, they're not generally going to be running 24/7. So you need some kind of timing mechanism. So that's what you're going to have to add to this. But you can't use one of them cheap, like $3.99 ones off eBay for your timer, because it's too much power, and what will happen is that that timer will be unreliable, and you'll find that at some point, quickly, it'll trip. And on that, when it trips, your light's not coming on. So you've thrown out your cycle. So although these are good value for money, they do require manual turning on and off, or a good quality timer. Now this particular set is 25 quid, and then you've got another probably 20 quid at top for a good timer. Like I say, you can't use these rubbish ones off eBay at $2.99, so you've got to get a decent timer that can handle it. So you're looking at probably about 45-50 quid there, aren't you? Alternatively, you can go for something like this, Greenpower contactor. Now this is a different kettle of fish altogether. Let me just have a slurp. This is my most important tool, as I'm sure you all know. Put that there. We've got nice Puerto Rican coffee today. We've got customers in, drinking the coffees. This baby. Now this is a quality piece of kit. And when I say it's quality, it's quality. But I suppose you get what you pay for, don't you? Especially when you can get it out of No doubt Keith laughing his head off at this point. Alright, I'll show you this. So in this instance, if you're going to use this, if you're wanting to go to this kind of level, these are 80 quid or thereabouts. And basically what you do, you plug this into the wall instead of the light fitting, and you plug the light fitting into this, right? You've got two switches and it will control two items. You can have a fan on one and a heater on another, or you can just have your lights on it. So this has got a timer on it. You've got automatic, you've got switching, all the little segments, just as you would expect, as you've probably seen this type before. Each segment represents a set amount of time. So you can set this so that your lights come on at, let's say, I don't know, 9 o'clock at morning, and they turn off at 9 o'clock at night, or whatever variation that you want. Now you can also use these to run your fans if you wanted to. But we'll come to that in a separate video, because that is what we would class as climate control. Because we're going to need to be able to control that climate inside the tent. It's all very well plugging this in and shutting the doors, but what's going to happen? The heat is going to build up drastically and quickly. So you need some method of controlling the temperature, because you need to be setting it at, let's say, 24 degrees centigrade, and it should be able to hold its own temperature. And what it'll do, that it'll use the fans for doing that, so it'll maintain a negative pressure inside the tent. You know, when you suck on a bottle and the walls cave in, that's negative pressure. That's what we need to create in the tent, is a bit of negative pressure, so you would turn the fan up until the wall starts to suck in just a little bit, and that's what you're doing. But then you can also add another piece of equipment which is not on the table because it's out of stock, which is a temperature timer. But we'll come to that in another video. Like I said, that's climate control. So that's the basic setup. It's up to you. You know, you can either just go for this section. I would still recommend that you use one of these contactors. Really, ideally for safety, you're going to need to do it anyway. For the sake of the cheapest one, like I said, it's about 25 quid. But that will require manual, you turning it on at 9 o'clock, turning it off at night, not at 9 o'clock at night. Alternatively, you could spend 80 quid, invest in this, which is going to last you years. Really good. I've never had any problems with these, and nobody that I know of has any problems with these. So that's 80 quid. The light fitting itself, this entire little setup here with the bulb, the ballast, and the reflector and the lamp holder, that is, we've got that on special at 90 quid for that set. These, like I said, these clips, these ratchets are 7 quid for a pack of 2. These little ones, which are really for holding your plants, there's a pack of 10 here for 12 quid, so £1.20 each. So that's pretty good. So that's really it. I can tell you that when we come to I'll do a video just on the lights, because like I said, you already know I've been growing orchids for like 40 years, so using these kind of lighting and stuff. So I've got some knowledge about which lights work best, and it's really dependent. Essentially, it's dependent on what the plant requires at its particular growth stage. So if you get to a plant that's in a leafy growing stage, it's going to require more blue-white light. So you use a daylight light for that one. But when it comes to the flowering and the fruiting section, it would normally be autumn time, wouldn't it? And you'll know that the light in the autumn, late summer, autumn, is more yellow. So that's where the sodium lights comes in. That's what you will class as a flowering light. But you can get specialist ones, like I said, and these particular lamps, we sell these replacements, I think they're 17-18 quid. Pretty good. This is a good one. This one will actually work throughout the growing stage, from young plants to finish. You'll be able to use this one light. But once you get established in this, and once you see your results, and you're thinking, well, I'm wanting to improve on this, I'm wanting to, get more into it, then you can start looking at different lights. But that's an entire video in its own. So we do that, and another entire video on its own is the types of reflectors you can get. Like I say, you can get these ones, you get different shaped ones, you can get ones with the ballast built into it, You get all sorts of configurations. And don't forget also the tent that we put up last week, we also came with some hooks, so these will be used on them poles at the top to suspend some of the stuff. Now then, if you've got any questions that you want to ask me, put them in the comments of this video, and I'll see if I can answer them as best I can. We are open 7 days a week down here in Featherstone, the Station Road, Station Lane I mean. Station Road, where did that come from? Yeah, so we've got 4 videos up. We've got the tent up, we've got the watering system, we've done the lighting system, and we did the basic one that was showing you everything together. So the next video we're going to be doing, I'll be looking at, I think we're going to be looking at the potting of the plants. So we're going to be looking at the potting compost that I'm going to be using. Oh, it's not actually compost, we'll say potting medium. You see this word medium, it's because it's compost is not really the right word. It's the same with orchids. People say, what compost is it? Well, it's not compost in orchids, generally speaking, it's bark. But it's a word that we use. So we'll say potting medium. In our particular case, what we're going to be using rock wool. So after that video, I'll have to show you then which of the plant foods I'm going to be using, because we've got a few ranges, haven't we? So I'm going to pick out one of the ranges that's going to be suitable for what we're doing. We'll go through that. We're going to have to do it within this next week, because we've got these lovely pepper plants here that want potting up. I've got them in winter at the minute, which are doing really rather well. And I'll have a quick chin on this. I can't think of anything else I've got to tell you. We are doing a live next week. That's next Saturday, around about 2:30ish. And we've got Benny from Benny Vapes on. We're going to be doing it right here in the shop, so if you wanted to come in and have a quick chat, you can ask questions live on the feed as well. So if you wanted me to answer any questions, if I know it, I'll answer it. It's not a problem. Or you could just pop into the shop and have a look. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. This is video 4, like I say, and I'll just keep numbering. I don't know what number we're going to finish on. We'll finish when we're finished. I'm not plugging all this stuff in because I want to get it all set up and showing you section by section before I'll do an assembly video of the tent and where we put it all together and turn it all on. So that's going to be great fun, isn't it? Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Been grand this Sunday afternoon in Featherstone, so I shall catch you later, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, which is Life with Les. See you later.